sorry. Then what we have to also look at when we talk about providing equal opportunities for students are the basic infrastructures. So looking at access to clean water, looking at food. We know that the UN's goal is to end poverty by 2030. So we have to look at the basic infrastructure to make sure that systems are in place so that our students can succeed. Nancy? Please, okay. So we know because of COVID and because of this crisis, we've had to shift the way we normally would teach and the way that teachers would normally deliver lessons. So one of the things that we have to focus on right on the upper left is how we're going to reach those disadvantaged youths, how we're going to reach those students who already are behind significantly in their learning. And a lot of research pointed that a lot of the educational systems looked at reaching students through radio, through TV. There were definitely some gains there, but there still were far behind. And through this presentation, you're going to see some examples of best practices that many countries can now replicate and try to really use those systems and see how they can adapt and modify them so that every student is reached. One of the things on the right that was extremely important, especially in our countries where students were living below the poverty line, was the home visits. And we saw those in countries across Africa, across Southeast Asia. The home visits was an integral part, especially where students did not have engaged parents at home. Nancy, I'm going to turn it over to you now to talk about the challenges.
Thank you, Gina. We're just going to lay a few challenges that schools, governments, students, parents, teachers have faced through this pandemic. All right, so one of the first issues is that most schools have closed during the beginning of 2020. If you can see from this map, we have like almost most of the schools worldwide have closed. That led to almost 1.6 billion learners who did not have or were affected by this school closure, which means more than 90% of the total enrolled in these schools, which that's a really big number. And that means there's a lot of students or learners who were affected by learning loss. This learning loss could be between 3 months to 1 year, depending on the country or where the learners come from. For example, for the MENA region, it could reach up to 1 year for some countries. And we can see from this graph here that it depends also on the region level. Of course, that this pandemic have highlighted the inequalities of connectivity and internet access across the whole globe or the world regions. There's a lot of factors which affected these: income status, the place where people live, age, gender, education. And these were already there, but with the pandemic, it's just have shed light on this and increased this inequality between places. 2.2 billion children and young people aged 25 or less do not have any internet connection at their home. So they were not able to access, if the country have provided them with distance learning, whether asynchronous or synchronous type, they did not even have internet to be able to open these. Now, the good things that during these challenging times, there's a lot of companies or who partnered with the countries to, have internet access for these children. For example, Orange have already provided internet access to Jordan, Syria, Egypt, and the SSA countries, few countries in the SSA, which was really great, which enabled a lot of students to have that connection. But still, we do have a lot of kids who were able to have an internet connection and learn. Only 5% of children young and age 25s or less in West and Central Africa, 30% in South Asia and Eastern South Africa have internet access, which is barely nothing, if we can see from the number here.